going down, everyone? I know it's definitely been a good second since I went live. I've been building a new room, honestly. It's been pretty sweet. But in that absence, I've actually noticed that there has been a new patch for the AMD 19.5.1, which is an optional. This is going to be pretty freaking cool, considering everything, all things considered. This is hopefully going to be a all well-rounded patch for everyone, because it seemed like the last variations that they had for the 19.42 and 43 were more World War Z. So let's go ahead and let's get the benchmark running so we can see what we're up against. And then just so everyone could see, I figured this would be kind of a cool one. Just show this the overlay of this, what's going down, and I can kind of utilize mine. I can go over here. But this is, again, the most ultra setting. Now, this is pretty bad. I mean, like, all things considered, this is actually really, really bad. Like, holy crap, bad. Like 11 FPS, like, that shouldn't happen. I've been able to at least pull in before in the past. Like, gee golly. I almost want to say I want to, like... Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just had... We're going to have to redo that one for sure. Seems like I had to actually physically select it in this side. Good to know. The game, when in windowed, has to be selected, otherwise the FPS gets divided. I did not know that. Yeah, I was like, at 11? That's... What am I doing? Utilizing my 1060? Like, that's horrible. Like, even this is kind of like a gambit card. Or as far as like what we'll be running. So far so good. Decent. I wonder why it like didn't let me select it, like it let me like play it. Didn't like hover in, like I actually had to physically select the screen. So interesting. So we're gonna redo that one, just so we can get a really nice one before we reset the computer. It's already where I found my nice median. So yeah, you can see like the huge direct FU to the system. As you can see, it kind of like was like went right up as I selected it. But undervolting, I last episode we did in the 19.4.3, I was like so bedazzled by it, but then I emerged into some new issues, and these new issues were more of like later on when I was trying to run two screens at once. There was flickering. It seemed like it was almost like when I was trying to overclock and under kind of playing with like the voltages before, like with just like in MSI settings. Like I've noticed that before. I was like, yeah, this is not seeming right at all. It's kind of seeming kind of crappy. So like, all right, that's good out the gates. 44, that's pretty decent for like everything boosted all the way ultra with the shadowing, everything up to the top. So I mean, like, this is pretty cool. And this is my Threadripper, my 2950X. Just in case anyone's wondering, I'm running about, geez, I want to say I'm at least running 32 gigs of RAM of like the 3200 megahertz Trident. That stuff's good. Trident Z, if I remember correct. I didn't really care for the RGB, but it was a nice added-on situation. Now, this is what I'm talking about before when I had it like on the all proprietary system. See how smooth that was? Like coming around that bend? It didn't really do that with the Intel for some odd reason. It just had really struggled with that part. It always has. But it seems like with the AMD Threadripper and as well as the actual physical Radeon tethered to it into its own little infinity fabric, it works really well at 3200 megahertz on the RAM, and like it's just a powerhouse, honestly, and everything considered. I think that we might actually be able to come up. Maybe I'm hoping like the last one we got was 45, and that was on my Intel. So like this is going to be a new standard for at least the Threadripper and like the situation, because it seems like the Radeon and any of these techs, they favor faster speeds. So if you can get something with like a higher speed clock, like if it, like you can get your Intel up to like 4.5. I mean, dear gosh, that thing can run like you can gain at least another like 7 FPS easily. Like if just at a 4.5, think about a 5.0. If you can get like a nice little water cooling system. But let's go ahead and get to the install. Now we have a 33. I can go ahead and close this. We're going to go ahead and pop open our AMD benchmark. And here we are, our nice little update. Now, we're going to go ahead and check, and there's our optional. We're going to go ahead and express install. Go over here. And while that's installing, we're going to go ahead and check out the news and see what's all about the new situation. So, as you can see, we're here. As the software continues the upgrade, I'm going to go ahead and see what our patch notes are. Give me a second to get over there. Computer layout, so it's a little bit easier, but I'm just getting used to like the bobs and weaves. Now this is very interesting since Rage dropped, and I don't have to get into that because that game seemed like it was going to be pretty BA. It offers a 16% performance gain with the AMD. That's pretty big for like the 5.1. So it also encumbers a nice little tuning for the Maze update of Windows and support in the tracing for the Radeon GPU profiler to the 1.5x. So the fixed issues seem to be very decadent inside of this one. And as we can kind of pull it up as it almost installs, we're about 50% done with the physical install. Let's see, pull this one up. And yes, I understand. I don't want to see you again, please. You can kind of see more of what we're looking at. So this is kind of cool. The performance is like one of the more of the overlays of what we'd be experiencing with the intermission flickering and the playback, the potential content. I've had that. Doom may experience an application hang up during the launch of the AMD X connector technology configuration. The Radeon software install may fail or get stuck at 33% when installing the HD 7970. So if you have that configuration in your system, don't worry, it's just something they've been trying to work on. Since this is a kind of like a brass install, but I'm doing it on my Radeon 7. So it says some Radeon RX 40. Oh, sorry, I know I said 40, but it's 400. A Radeon RX 500 series GPU may experience a system hang when hot plugging 8K displays. Wow, I didn't know you can do 8K displays on this. I wonder what I can do with my Radeon. 7 may not fare well, but it may. I don't know. Let's see here. The AMD Radeon 7 may fail to apply the Radeon setting to the video profile to the video playback. Interesting. So that might be a fixed issue of what it's already going to hopefully do. Now it's already gotten a reset. Go ahead and get that fresh on that system. And as you can kind of see, there's more than just meets the eye past that. They did so much. The HTC Vive device may experience connections or I feel like this isn't, they're really not telling me fixed issues, they're telling me issues that were there. They just did a really bad way of phrasing it, I suppose. But experiencing connections and detections of issues of the OS and the Steam VR. So if Steam VR was one of your issues, they've definitely tried to fix that. If not, drop a comment. I'm really curious if everyone's like still issuing, like, hey, this is still kind of a thing for me. I'd like to know. System instability may be experienced for the Zeus Tough Gaming FX 505 laptop when wireless display is connected. Stutters or frame drops may be experienced when playing back the DivX interlaced connection to the Windows Movie TV application. They've been having such a very hard issue with that to like fix that and iron it out. The Radeon RX Vega series graphics products may experience higher than experienced memory clocks at idle or desktop in multiple screens configurations. Well, that's kind of cool. Maybe we'll divide it into like 8 gigs and 8 gigs, which would be kind of sweet. It's pretty fast with that DDR6. Some system configurations may not be able to be set to 10-bit color in the Radeon settings when the connection is set to 4K 60 frames, which is interesting because before it was telling me it was at 59 frames. It was like it's not truly, and I was like, wait, what are you talking about? So this is cool. They fixed that. Enhance the sync and may fail to enable the Radeon FreeSync enabled display from the DirectX 9, the API games, the first launch. So they've definitely fixed a lot in this patch. This optional was just not only for Rage, but it was for a ton of stuff. This is exciting. Let's see here. AMD may, the links may experience intermittent authentication issues, and an update of AMD link application is required. So it seems like you just need to resync it, go to their page, and resync that stuff. Should be fine. Kind of what I did when I got the free games. I had to sync it up somehow, and it was fine. Let's see. Some games may experience texture flickering and the corruption on the Radeon RX Vega series products using the Vulkan. Okay, so it seems like Vulkan's just going way too fast. Known issues. Let's see here. Radeon Live streaming and uploading videos to other Facebook is currently unavailable. Why not just use OBS or something else? I mean, it's cool that they're working on that, but let's be real here. You have like a whole other like archive of stuff you can get into, but just personally me speaking. Let's see here. The Asus Gaming FX 505 may experience a discrete GPU issue, connection issue, when devices disappearing from device manager while idle in the system. Wow, that seems so complicated. World War Z may experience an application hang up in extended periods of play. Okay. So they're saying that they've tuned it to the point where it just keeps going and then it just viciously cyclically spins out of control. The Radeon VII may experience screen flickering and multiple display setups on the desktop while applications are running. Performance in the metric overlays in the Radeon Wattman gauge may experience inaccurate fluctuation reading on the Radeon 7. Great, I've kind of known that. HDR video may freeze or have it. If this is the oh yeah, it is. It's exactly what I think. Or corruption during playback while using movies or TV applications while the Ryzen APU. So if you have that, all-in-one processor, you might have some issues, unfortunately. Let's see here. Footnotes. Testing conducts by AMD Performs Labs. As of May 8th, the 2009 on the 16 gigabyte AMD. So it's for me and a lot of people that are looking into like what this card can do and what they can actually test on the testing system comprising of the Intel i9-9900K at 3.6 to 16 gigahertz DDR4. I thought it was DDR6. Seriously? DDR4? Oh well. Live and learn. Anyways, I almost want to say that that's wrong. I mean, for like Intel, maybe they are using DDR4 for their chiplet. I mean, that's what they're getting. But I thought for the DDR memory inside of the Vega was DDR6. I'll look that up. I'm pretty sure it is. I might be wrong. I don't know. But that's not what I'm debating here. What I'm debating is looking into the Windows 10 manufacturer point and the configuration and the yielding of the different results of Rage 2 with Vulkan and the presets of the 4K and running into the FPS average of the 38.3. Therefore, is in the compromise of the Radeon Adrenaline, the 5 point, is the 16% to runs. Oh, okay. So that's where you're going to get your boost to about 45 to almost in between there. About 48 is what they're aiming for the more of the cinematic look as it spits down frame after frame. AMD Ryzen Mobile. Okay, that's not really what I would like to, but you can always go to this page and like directly click it. Support for the API technology. Pretty cool, important notes as far as the users in the AMD API technology. And then you have your support for your AMD Indro technology, switchable graphics modes. Pretty important stuff in the packet content that comes inside of here, so you can download all that fun stuff. But let's go ahead and go back to our other page, and we can do another little quick cliff note of what we can actually physically see what we can do. Bam! Here we are again. Let's see if I can get myself into. Now, I wonder why it made me. Well, whatever the case may be, it'll be fine. Okay, let's see here. I'm making sure everything is good in the hood. Alright, so since I've got that already set up, we're gonna go ahead and give it a soft reset. Should be pretty cool real fast. And we can go check out what Reddit, cool stuff they got on top of there while resetting happens. Let's go. AMD. You got for me. Oh, it's like it didn't even want to turn back on. Okay, let me go reboot my other computer. You just wanted me to get up, I guess. I don't know what that was all about. Let's go with. Not a lot of people have that. Let's go with 19.5. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So everything booted back in pretty quick. Definitely seemed like it needed a nice little reset. Alright, so there. Let's go ahead and go back to the page of interest. Alright, here we are again. And this is the setting that I am rocking. Wattman. Overclock on the memory. Go ahead and shut that down. I'm going to go ahead and open up Division. We'll run the test again. So if 16% comes out of this, I'll be really happy. If we got down to the point of the, because I really didn't like the variations of 4. 4.1 was the best one, and that's the stable one before the optionals came like more, I guess, frequent throughout the 4 series of updates, which were alright. I mean, it's not as good as I wanted them to be. Thought they could do so much better. Man, it seems like this person says they totally lost their ability. Full features included the Wallman. So they're raving this kind of. It's nice to see that like there's a driver without limitation. So far so good. Seems like it took off really well. Yeah, cool. Still the same settings. So let's run it. I mean, out the gate seems about the same, but let's see what the whole over average is. It could just be a consistency. And this run is completely stable. Since I'm using the streaming onboard computer point of the RX 2080 Ti in order to broadcast this out, it's actually quite easy. See, it doesn't have any hangups. This dip right here is pretty crazy. Now again, we'll go back to the sweet spot too, just to do one last one, just to see what it really looks like. Because I know above 60 is what I'm normally used to with like the um, high setting, which shouldn't be too bad. I mean, all in all, this definitely does seem like a pretty big improvement. Because it seems a lot steadier. Like in higher 30s as it comes out of here versus what it used to. And again, if I have my Intel like clocked into this, it'd probably see a vast improvement. I noticed that, like, just straight off the bat. Oh, it does have GDR6. Okay, cool, I was right. For some weird reason, it was probably just referencing the computer. Okay, so now that we can kind of see this over here, go back to Ultra we could, but the medium sweet spot is where I see that it functions the best. That's a very steady 60. But again, I mean, like with my Intel, I can go above 60. Usually, I can get like damn near like it's like 70 sometimes. Now, at the same time, too, maybe I could be utilizing just the regular general GPU overclock, and that might actually utilize something better than versus the RAM, considering it seems like they did something more with the memory this time around. I mean, maybe that might just be the reason why it's where it's got. Because look at the breathing room in the GPU. 96 to 95% is actually pretty lower than what normally is. So it's like it's almost backing off the threshold just a little bit to have a hell of a lot more breathing room. But hey, if it's completely steady and it gives me like a solid like situation, like that's kind of cool. But not really cool when I'm like sacrificing FPS, I suppose. But two different systems. I mean, that's your Intel versus like what was gonna be like your normal, like run of the mill with the AMD. And they're the way different. It's like an infinity fabric. So, I mean, like close to 60. I'd like to think that like these tests they were back to back, and again these are like at resolutions that are a lot higher too. Um, like the 40. That also might be it too. The fact that it's going up a little bit more. Let's see if I can tune that down real fast. Okay, let's see if that does a big difference. Because, I mean, that didn't seem right. Something just totally didn't seem right. And if that does yield a better one than like 56 to 58, then we'll run it backwards again and see what's up. It might just be one of those situations where it's just like it was just never meant to be at that fully, truly 4K. Which is seeming like that's the situation. Starting off again strong around the 60, but it's not doing that much bigger of a difference besides seeming a hell of a lot more stabler. But let's see. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt because like I'm just not seeing the higher FPS that I want. But it is fighting to stay 60. I will give it that much. It is definitely a bigger increasement, but not that big of an increasement. It just seems like it's very well above 60, which is better than the 50 in the low 50. So I mean, like that definitely increased it. And I wonder if I could run back and do the ultra setting just one more time and see if I can do that. This part, usually in zone 3 going to 4 is usually where you lose your FPS a lot. I'm very curious to see what happens right here if it fights to go back up to 60, which is seeming like it's doing a damn good job to go up to 60. I mean, we're probably going to finish it. I don't know, actually. Okay, so, I mean, a decent improvement. I would definitely like to say that that was a very good, decent improvement. Well, it seems like the more you go up, the more it's going to go up and down. But for like a 4K, getting like at your high settings, not too shabby. You can see my build right down there, utilizing the Threadripper, 32 gigs of RAM, Windows 10, and the most current up-to-date version. So it's like, it seems like that's pretty cool. Next time I will experiment with more of the GPU, of the variation over the RAM, just overclock when we first start, just so we can have a little bit more of a base testing and see if that makes it a little bit more of a brass difference. Anyways, everyone, if you're new to the channel, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. You can always hit a like, share, and subscribe if you are digging it that much. And for most people that have returned and are digging it and continue to come back, cheers. I appreciate you folks. Go ahead and leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you are more digging about these kind of videos. So it's your boy MacGyver 7th signing out, saying thank you so much for staying tuned, and I will be back in the near future for more videos saying what's going down with the Radeon card as we